All right, so just before the rap group Wu-Tang concert in Colorado with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra at the famed Red Rocks Amphitheater, group member, rapper, and actor Method Man debuted his new brand of cannabis called T-Cal, the same name as his 1994 solo album. He named the three new strains Sweet Grease, Free Mac, and Orange Cookie Kush. So my question, if you had your own line of weed, what would you call it, Robbie Rock?
We will ROKU.
ROKU. Okay, Rock. Lizzie, what are you calling your weed?
I mean,
a long name.
Since Meth and I have a history, since we go way back to the days of, swapping
I
lips
wish.
at the Soul Train Awards after party in 1996, I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call my weed Lizzie Woo. Lizzie Woo.
Lizzie
Cute.
Woo. All right, Gianni
That's
Storm.
actually cute.
That is cute.
Mine is Storm Kush. Has a
Storm
ring.
Storm Kush. All right.
Storm
Well,
Kush.
mine's pretty straightforward. I just say no. Because y'all know I don't mess with none of that stuff. I'd rather be high on life.
No.
I'd rather be on
I
high
don't
life.
mess with it either. I don't smoke
Yeah, I
circumstances. But the question
I don't
was,
smoke.
would we
I
call
don't drink.
something?
I don't do
And
none of it.
Exactly.
if I was, I have friends in Colorado who are making a killing off of weed dispensaries.
Mhm.
In the
Oh,
beginning,
yeah.
when they started this process, I would joke with them and be like, "You're nothing but a drug dealer." But at this point, they're no different from a pharmaceutical company.
Mhm.
They're
Yep.
no different
Yeah.
from a pharmaceutical company. So, I mean, if I had the opportunity, I'm anti weed. I think it's gross. I think it stinks.
Yeah, it does stink.
It
Oh
fucks your
my
voice
God.
up. But
love
I
weed.
realized
I
that
think
it
skunk smells
offers
better,
comfort.
actually.
It offers comfort to a lot of people in certain situations.
It
So
does.
if I had the opportunity
Yeah.
to open up a dispensary to make some money, it would be
I
Lizzie
would.
Woo.
I
Lizzie
still
Woo.
wouldn't open
Lizzie
that. I'm not
Wu.
advocating. But I got to be honest,
Woo.
much like alcohol, cigarettes, and vaping, I'm concerned about the messages to our youth. If you look at like the advertising, um, like he's using cartoon figures in this image here of him, and he's naming it, Orange Cookie Kush. Definitely creative and very appealing to teens and preteens. So are we going a little too far with the cannabis craze and delegalization? I'll start with Robbie.
No.
No. These are just names, and it's like really, I have no opinion on celebrities endorsing cannabis any more than I have an opinion on celebrities endorsing alcohol, food, or clothing brands. Because at the end of the day, they're endorsing a product, and if it's a product that aligns with you, if you are okay with that ethically, then go for it. The shirt, I mean, this is Wu Tang. They've been embracing this kind. It looks like street art. So, and if these are just the names that you've looked at. If you go into a dispensary and start looking at the actual names that are out there, this kind of falls in line with
Right.
everything else that's out there. You have to distinguish yourself from everybody else's brand, but
Branding.
there's so many names out there.
There are crazy.
So I think they're clever names, and it's cool that he's got TCal to fall on for himself because that's his. So
Gotta say it right. The cow.
The cow.
the cow,
Cow.
the cow.
I feel like to play devil's advocate is kind of like when people say gay, like homosexual or gay culture, and that's being pushed on people's children. I can understand that because it is marketing at the end of the day. So if you don't like it, like for example, Neo, like my mom, she hated anything marijuana, drugs, pills, alcohol, anything, any type of poison. So yeah, she would hate that too. So it kind of depends. If the majority is saying it's not affecting our youth, um, rather than the minority, then I think that matters. Like majority rules, Neo. Sorry.
Lizzie, what are you thinking?
I think that we all need to get a clue and recognize what's going on around us. Our youth are not smoking weed, buying weed because Method Man decided to put a cartoon character on his t-shirt and say, to cow. It's in our
But what
neighborhoods.
about like
It's in
what about when we're
it's
talking
in
about alcohol and with cigarettes and vaping.
Well,
Are we
cigarettes,
saying we're not advertising
cigarettes,
that these are not
you can't,
advertising to?
you cannot
They
publicly
are.
advertise
They're not
cigarettes
appealing,
in the,
right?
you can,
That's their
can I
I
lifestyle,
finish?
know,
though.
and but the reason, because again, this it's regulated more.
Again,
Yeah.
you cannot publicly advertise cigarettes on television and on the radio and in any market in this country because there is a direct link between tobacco and addiction and nicotine and cancer. That is completely different from weed. That has been established by the medical profession in our country and by the government. Weed is a bit different. Weed is a bit different. There's no nicotine or tobacco in weed. And there is a big debate about the addictive properties of weed, although I do know some folks that are addicted to weed, okay? But people aren't dying of weed cancer, all
I mean,
right?
that's a good
And
argument,
so
obviously.
and and so I think we got to be careful about how we try to lump all of these things together, particularly because this is already so much in our so much a part of our culture. Like when I tell you that I don't do weed, I don't smoke weed, I don't advocate for weed, I'm usually the outlier. I'm usually the one who is, you know, different from everybody else in my group. And it's not just weed. I mean, now, people are getting very creative. It's edibles now. It's edibles now. It's like, what you can eat that doesn't stink, that people don't assume that is marijuana or the ganja or, the reefer or whatever. Maybe I could use it. Maybe I can come up with a name with reefer. Let me think about that. Let me come up with a name with reefer.
Think
But
of a
then,
new name. Think of a
but
new
then what?
strain.
So, but we have alcohol that's regulated, right? So, because of age restrictions, I mean, I understand the cancer connection between cigarettes, but it's still regulated. We have different, of course, drugs that are, I'm talking prescription drugs that are regulated. And so, there are certain requirements, particularly for branding and advertising towards children, for all of those things, except for weed right now. And the only reason is because it's not fully regulated yet. And the main reason for that is because the federal government, it's still it's still illegal as far as the federal government is concerned in the U.S. So therefore, they can't create regulations for something that's already illegal. So
Well,
I think we're
it,
allowing a little leeway because of that.
I mean, I think at this point there are probably over 20 states where it is legal, to buy certain amounts of marijuana. They don't want you, selling
Well, it's
pounds and
not
pounds
legal.
or
It's
whatever.
illegal.
THC.
It's not illegal in those states.
Decriminalized.
Decriminalized. It's not
Right.
illegal. It's not legal
It's legal in Colorado to smoke marijuana.
for medical purposes.
No, 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 for more than medical purposes.
Mia
For
said
more than and has been for years. Um, and now you just with that
people.
asinine statement, you made me forget what I was about to say. So pick up for me, Rob. I'll think of it. I'll think of it.
Yeah. So one thing that I really appreciate about this marketing campaign, if someone is more prone to go to a dispensary and purchase their wares there, you know what you are getting. You're not getting a product that's been laced with any other product. You are getting
Fentanyl.
something that is regulated. Exactly. It ties into the fentanyl conversation that we were having last week. So if you market the product properly, the market will balance out the price eventually. Canada is proof positive of that. That when the cannabis prices first came out, when with the legalization, the prices were ridiculous. So anyone that smoked just kind of went, nope. So you're still going to have to seek alternative means to source this product.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, no, there's definitely benefits to it, Neo. And if we can have advertising for alcohol, and these are party, these are, I'm thinking of like the Bud Light commercials and whatnot. It's a college style party. Well, that has greater draw to the teenagers than a cartoon T-shirt. Just saying.
Yeah. All right.
Also, we have
Real
to
quick.
think about the fact that it makes sense to have people in the Black community take control of this and have businesses that promote this because one, young Black people are smoking weed
Mhm.
as well as young white people. However, the negative stigma only goes
Towards
to
African
young Black
Americans. Yeah.
people.
I agree.
You know, like think of Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin, you know, when he was killed, it was like, oh, he was a thug, he was smoking weed, whatever, whatever. However, you get a young white boy in the same situation
Mhm.
and the conversation because it's just weed,
Yeah.
it's just marijuana.
So
So, you
if
know,
I,
it makes a difference. It
yeah,
makes a difference.
and my thoughts actually is I think the government needs to completely make it legal and better regulated. That's my thought. But
Yep.
Jacqueline Robinson says cigarettes are regulated. There's a pipe and tobacco store in Cleveland Park that sells CBD as well as bongs, hookahs, and paraphernalia. You can buy and grow weed in DC, but you have to have over a certain. But if you have over a certain amount, like a whole brick, considered
Yeah,
possession with the
yeah,
intent to distribute.
Brick.
yeah.
So, yeah. All
Oh my
right.
God.
So yeah, that was good. Quick fire.
Lizzie Woo. Lizzie Woo. Let me
That was
look that up. Let me look
Lizzie
that
Woo.
up. Lizzie
I
Woo.
Lizzie
like that
Woo.
one, Lizzie. Actually,
Woo. I really like that. Lizzie
no,
Woo.
not that I wouldn't buy it, but I can see
I wouldn't I wouldn't
people
buy my own
buying it.
product either. But you know, supply and demand.
Yeah.
Supply and demand.
All right.
I'd smoke your stuff if you could get it across the border.
All right.
If y'all let me
Big
in,
F.
Rob, if y'all let me in, if y'all let me in.
All right. We'll get to some more interesting headlines from our host a little bit later in the show. But right now, it's time for our
Yeah.
COVID Chronicles.